Okay, we've hit the 5:30 mark. Hello and good evening to everyone. Thank you for taking out time to be with us. I am Matt Thatcher. I'm the director of the Center for Teaching Excellence, and I'm also a professor of computer science and engineering here at USC. I've been here since 2012. And I just want to start this orientation by telling you that University of South Carolina is really a wonderful place to work. It's where you can pursue your passions, build meaningful connections and communities. You can engage in collaborations across our comprehensive university. You can share your knowledge and experiences with our students in and out of the classroom. And you can really have a big positive impact on our students, our local employers, and the world around us. So really want to welcome you to University of South Carolina and welcome you to our new adjunct faculty orientation. We're very excited to have you as part of our very vibrant academic community. And we really hope that you're excited to be part of the US team as well. And so the main goal of today's orientation is to introduce you to some of the critical just-in-time resources that will help you navigate your new role as an adjunct faculty member. More specifically, here's our agenda for today, for the next hour and a half. I just welcomed you. I'm going to spend about 10 minutes giving you a high-level overview of some important resources that you can use immediately here at USC. And I've tried to organize this around three main themes. One, how do I support my students and facilitate their success? Two, how do I improve, enhance, and innovate my teaching, whether that's through the development of better course materials, or the implementation of new teaching approaches, or the integration of new technologies. And three, how do I develop my own personal and professional skills here at USC? So after that overview, Casey Carroll from the Center for Teaching Excellence will take about 30 minutes to highlight some of the most critical teaching development resources that we have here at the CTE. And then our e-learning services team will take you through about a 30-minute introduction to Blackboard, which is USC's learning management system. And that's essentially the system that you're going to use to house and implement your courses. I'll then take a few minutes to walk you through our syllabus templates. These are important because they're going to ensure that you develop a syllabus that is, and a schedule that's consistent with USC policy and with pedagogical best practices. And finally, we will wrap up with a short Q&A. We will make the slides and recording this presentation available to you through the CTE website. We'll kind of communicate that to you later. So at this point, it's going to begin a short overview of the university resources that you might find useful on day one of your classes. So we're just going to call these just-in-time resources. So the question is, how do we ensure?
Hi, Matt.
Yes.
Hey, Matt, this is Casey. Somebody has their hand raised. Can we answer that question before you move on to the next section?
Sure. What's the question? So whoever has a question, they can.
I think she might have put her hand down. So I just wanted to check. I wasn't sure if it was on purpose or not. So
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Carry on.
No problem. I think the most important role of any faculty member is to support our students and facilitate their success, particularly in the classroom. And so when we as faculty observe a problem or a concern that may inhibit student success, it's really our responsibility to help that student find the resources and the support that they need. So this slide lists certain problems that many of our students may encounter in our classroom during the semester. And each problem here has a link to it. We'll make this presentation available. I'll also show you where this is on our website. But it has a link where you can report the problem or refer the student to the appropriate office or resource around the university. As a note, not long ago, I was a department chair of computer science and engineering for about 6 years. I provided this list of resources to every faculty member every semester because they're not only there to support the student, but they're there to support the faculty member. I mean, because as faculty, we don't have the time and the expertise to effectively address many of these student concerns. So the best plan is often to refer the students to the experts who can help best. So So I'm just going to take a few minutes and walk through these and show you the links. In your classroom, you might find that a student is absent or disengaged. Well, in my own experience, when I have a student who hasn't submitted an assignment or shown up to an exam, or maybe hasn't been to class for a while, my first step would be to send them an email, just a 2-sentence email that says, I noticed the issue, whether it's an absence or a disengagement, and ask if everything's okay. And a lot of the time, students will respond quickly, thank me for checking on them. And in that case, I won't report anything unless a pattern continues. However, other times they don't respond. In that case, if I don't hear from them, I generally complete an advising center referral. So when you go to that link, it takes you to a place on the academic advising site where you can actually submit a referral for someone who has been absent or maybe disengaged in the class. And the great thing about this is that it's a responsibility of the advising center then to check on the student. So the student gets a resource they need, and also eases the burden on the faculty member, because then it's up to that professional, it's their responsibility to check up on the student. In another example, you might find that a student in your class is maybe failing the course, or you've identified someone who might have financial concerns. In that case, you want to get in contact with the Student Success Center, where they have referrals for exactly that. So you can just go here and submit an alert. You might find that someone has cheated or violated your academic integrity statement. Maybe they have disruptive behavior. In that case, we have an Office of Student Conduct and Academic Integrity. You can file a report with them. And here you'll find you can file different reports, whether it's a conduct issue or an honor code violation, or maybe there's an off-campus incident that you think is affecting class. There are different ways to report this that are right here on this site. Also, if you think a student's at risk for themselves or the community, we have a student care and outreach team. And when you click on here, you can see you can submit a report to try to provide resources for that student. And this is also the place if you find that a student in your class maybe is experiencing challenges with basic needs like clothing, food, housing, you can submit a referral here to try to get the resources around USC to that student. At USC, I've skipped ahead. Absent verification is pretty important. At USC, if a student has an excused absent from class, as the instructor, you're required to allow that student to make up work that they've missed. However, sometimes it's hard for us as faculty member to know whether or not it's an officially excused absence or not. If you're not sure, then you need to refer to the student to the Office of Student Advocacy to fill out an excused absence request. When you go there, you can see they actually provide you an explanation of what an unexcused versus an excused absence is. Excused absences are things like religious holidays, university events that they're a part of, military duty, and of course, sickness. But for some things that you might need to get the student to verify their excused absence with the student Office of Student Advocacy. So as an example, if your student comes to you and says, I missed an exam because of a medical reason, well, we generally don't want instructors to take medical documentation because then we have to maintain it in a certain way to not violate FERPA laws. So in that case, what you'll often do is refer them to the student of the Office of Student Advocacy. They would fill out a request for an excused absence. In that case, that office will take the request, collect the documentation, make the determination, and then inform you as the instructor on whether or not this is an excused absence. So it's a nice resource that doesn't, force the instructor to always kind of do the verification. A next resource is if you either witness or are told about some form of discrimination, harassment, or sexual misconduct, you are a mandatory reporter. And so it's really your responsibility to report that incident so that if that does not initiate an investigation, simply has a resource around USC, get in contact with the student and allow them to know what their options are. But it is required. So if a student comes to you and says, I need to tell you something, but you have to keep it secret, please don't tell anyone. It really is best if you tell them up front that this involves something about discrimination or sexual harassment or sexual misconduct, that you will be required to report it. Another thing, though, sometimes we've all had struggles with mental health. This is a big issue with both student and faculty. It's great to put in your syllabus something about the student health and well-being services. So this is a link here about our counseling and psychiatry services for students. And if you have a specific concern, you can click on this report a concern. And then if you think a student is in distress or you observing substance abuse or interpersonal violence, you can report those items here. We already covered this area where you would focus on inadequate access to basic needs. If you have a problem or a concern that you're observing in the classroom and you don't know who to talk to or who to ask, contact the Student Success Center. I have their email and their phone number here. And of course, there's a link to them under the failing option. And if there's a crime, accident, suspicious activity, we have law enforcement and safety and USC Police Dispatch. So one other item I will note is that some students will come to you and say they need an accommodation. Maybe they need extra time on an assignment because of a disability they have. It's the responsibility of the student, if they have some kind of disability that they need accommodations for, that they go to the Student Disability Resource Center, the SDRC, and then they will go and assess the student, identify accommodations, and provide a letter to you at the beginning of the semester saying what the accommodations are, whether it's time and a half on an exam, extensions on a homework assignment, or whatever it is. But that is very important. And this site also has a really nice link here for faculty and staff, which explains to you the types of disabilities that are accommodated, how they determine accommodations, and some more information. But again, if a student requires an accommodation, they really need to go to the SDRC because we're not professionals in these areas. We can't determine what the proper accommodation is. We're going to let the SDRC do that. So as you begin your courses next week, I hope you kind of keep these resources in mind because when a problem arises, I know initially we try to address the issue the best we can. But if you're unable to address the issue or the student needs more support than you're able to provide, these are great resources to keep in mind. And I just am noting here on this next page that at the CTE website, sc.edu/CTE, if you go to our website and click on the Teaching Resources tab and then go to Syllabus Templates, the links to all these are right there on that web page as well. So you have access to those right now. You can go to our website and view those under the third expander on that page. All right, so that was about student success. The next resources we want to focus on, I'm going to just kind of summarize these and let Casey and e-learning services take over. At the Center for Teaching Excellence, our goal is to be the hub of teaching development activities and resources that empower educators like yourselves to innovate their teaching and inspire student learning. And so I'm going to briefly walk you through our website. In a few minutes, Casey Carroll will really highlight some of the most important resources at CTE. But please remember, the whole point here is that CTE here is help to provide you guidance and resources to achieve your teaching goals. So if you ever have a question or a need on the teaching side, come to us. If you go to our website, you see that we have a nice tile menu here. We have about, where I just want to go to meet our people so you can see the people who are at the CTE, in particular instructional designers. You see Casey Carroll's with us today, Gloria Washington, Mitchell Herring, Kristen Harrell, and also the lead instructional designer, Aisha Haynes, are all great people to contact when you have questions or concerns about your teaching. So hopefully you will get acquainted with them over time. We have consultations where we have our IDs meet with you one-on-one. We have workshops where people come in groups to learn about a certain teaching approach or resource. We have programs, which I think Casey will highlight, special events, and then of course a set of teaching resources, which again, he will highlight some of the most critical ones that you might want to think about using over this semester. So there's a lot that we provide. On the technology side, how do you access and use technology? Well, the Division of Information Technology supports various classroom and academic technologies through their e-learning services group. And they support tools like Blackboard and Zoom and iClicker. And again, they will provide you a short introduction to Blackboard in a few minutes. These next two slides, the takeaway from them is that adjunct faculty members have access to several professional personal development programs at USC. So we have this effective communication certificate program that has a session on communicating effectively, having difficult conversations, resolving conflict, really some great resources available to adjunct faculty, and another kind of program about managing yourself, which focuses on emotional intelligence and other important topics. We also have personal development courses about well-being, financial health, and things of that nature. So there's links to those resources, and you might want to keep those in mind as you are teaching during the semester. So with that, that completes my overview of some just in-time resources as you transition to your new role. So I will now hand this off to Casey Carroll. He's an instructional designer at the Center for Teaching Excellence, and he's going to highlight some of the specific resources we have available to you at CTE. So I will stop my share.
Hi, everybody. Can you see my screen all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Casey Carroll. I'm an instructional designer with the Center for Teaching Excellence. So we're happy to be here to welcome you all, or continue to welcome you all if you have already adjuncted with us before. I'm going to take a couple minutes to kind of go through some of our particular CTE resources. So as Matt already highlighted most of these, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. So we offer a variety of in-person and virtual workshops on a variety of topics and skills. So you can check out that calendar of events to see what works for you, because we have both in-person and virtual. My colleague, I'm just getting set up. My colleague, Susan Quinn from eLearning Services, will be adding some links into the chats as we go. And then I think Kimberly will be adding them as well. So for our programs, we have certificates of completion for groups of workshops, short courses on teaching online and technology, so that you can document your professional development. We also have learning communities for large sections and virtual environments as well. Our special events are one-time or yearly events on particular topics or opportunities. So we're currently planning for our annual teaching symposium, Oktoberfest, that will be held in person on the Columbia campus on Friday, October 25th. The Center for Teaching Excellence is a team of professional educators that can provide individual consultations tailored to your personal teaching needs and provide you skills, resources, and one-on-one support to achieve your goals. We utilize evidence-based best practices to help you enhance your teaching and create effective learning experiences. So we can help with things such as course planning, syllabus review, understanding issues at USC, or anything else related to teaching. So you can submit a request through the link in the chat, or you can also email us directly. We are, like Matt said, the go-to hub for things. So if you don't know where to go for something on campus, especially as an adjunct, come to us first, and we can make sure to get you connected to the right people. Our website has a variety of teaching resources, so I'll highlight a few that could be helpful along with some things to consider as you get ready for the semester. And as I go through these things, of course, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Feel free to raise your hand, and then either I will notice that or one of my colleagues will draw it to my attention. As Matt mentioned, we're going to be getting some more details from our friends at eLearning Services about Blackboard in just a minute. But for some of our Blackboard resources, both CTE and eLearning Services can help you make sure that you feel comfortable using our Blackboard learning management system and that it is organized in the way that will best support your students. You can find Blackboard-specific webinars and workshops on the CTE website. We also have a resources page with easy-to-access help and recorded webinars. CTE also has a course template that you can use to get your Blackboard structure started. You can request this from one of our instructional designers or download it from our website. And the link to how to download that has just been added to the chat as well. One of our teaching resources that we have is our grading and assessment toolbox. So grading and assessment can be one of the more challenging aspects of teaching, but you can try your best to create authentic assessments that help students demonstrate the skills that they've been learning in your course. Feel free to explore this toolbox for more resources. We've got a link to it in the chat. If you're new to USC, here's a few things to be aware of. USC has no institutional scale to determine the letter grade in a course. So an A could be 90 to 100% or 92 to 100%. It's up to the instructor's discretion. You might want to check with your department to see if they use a common scale. But whatever you choose, make sure to communicate those expectations clearly to students. There are some examples for the different types of grading scales in our syllabus resources page, which we'll highlight a couple more times this presentation. USC uses pluses, but no minuses. So we have A, B plus, B, C plus, and so on, but no minuses if you're used to that at another institution. Final grades are submitted to the registrar's site on Banner or my.sc.edu, not through Blackboard. So once you have your final grade calculations set up in Blackboard and you know exactly what letters you want to give everybody, you will need to enter them in that system. There is a tutorial on how to do that posted on YouTube, and we have that link in the chat. You can also find that video in Banner where you go to enter in your final grades. So we understand the final grades are not due for probably most of you for another like 4 months. And so when it gets a little closer, just remember Casey said final grades somewhere other than Blackboard, and then just give us a call and we'll help you figure it out. If you will be teaching online, we have an online teaching toolbox with a variety of resources. So as you plan for an online course, make sure to emphasize active opportunities for students to be engaged, including online activities, content checks, projects, or even group work. Our resources include ideas for how to do all of those different things, as well as online quality standards that can help you to assist greater navigation and engagement for you and your students. So especially if you're very new to online teaching, check out those quality standards to give you a sense of maybe what you should be looking for. If you would like help planning for online or solving a particular question, make sure to request a consultation with one of our instructional designers. And we'd be happy to help you get things set up or walk you through any concerns that you have. The syllabus is your plan for the semester, the primary method of communicating your course design and policies to your students and introducing them to the course, the subject matter, and you. It's also mandatory. So it's required for institutional and accreditation purposes to have a syllabus. at some point your department will be or should be asking you for a copy of your syllabus. Probably not until after the first day of class, you can get that together. So the CTE website has a Word document that you can use to start your syllabus and edit to fit your purposes. So we have still templates for those policies and procedures. We also have a checklist of best practices if you want to use that to write a syllabus or review your syllabus. And our sample syllabus templates can be used to update an existing syllabus, or even if you're writing something from scratch or teaching for the first time. We also have a sample statement. So if you want to just update what you have, you can give some references there. And again, the instructional design team can answer any syllabus questions or review your syllabus for you. So please feel free to reach out if you have concerns. My chunk went pretty quickly, so we have some time. Does anybody have any questions or concerns that you would like to share with us at the moment before we move on to our next section about Blackboard? I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing at the moment so I can more easily see y'all.
Do we have any questions for Casey?
You can put them in the chat, raise your hand, anything like that. Or just give it another second to let people think.
Sure.
Thanks, Robert. Awesome. Yes, please, Elizabeth.
Sorry, I was having
Elizabeth,
trouble.
there you go.
I'm sorry. I was having trouble. I signed up for a couple of other sessions today and wasn't able to attend the entire class. Are these classes that you're doing now available on the CTE for us to review at a later date?
Some of them are. So depending upon what they were, there are some recorded webinars on our, if you're referring to Blackboard specifically, which I'm assuming it was the e-learning services sessions that we had going all day today. Some of those webinars are available online. If you have a specific webinar or two that you wanted the recording for, go ahead and pop that in the chat along with your email address. And then my friends from e-learning services, would y'all be able to can share a particular recording?
Absolutely. We recorded all the ones today. They're not going to be perfect recordings. It's live stuff with demos and things. So, you know, there may be a question or two peppered in there from people, but yeah, we can get that to you.
Thanks, Katie.
All right. What else? Anything else for me at the moment? We still got lots of time, so if you have other questions, we're happy to take them.
Great. Well, absolutely. People can ask questions as we go along. We definitely will have some time at the end. But if there are no further questions right now, thank you, Casey, very much. Please, if you guys have questions or have any teaching needs, then there's a question about using. Okay, great. If you have any teaching needs, please contact us. I'll show you again our consultation page. And I'll also give you our email address at the end of this talk. So we're here to help. I think I'm now going to give it off to our e-learning services group. I think we have Katie Vaughn and Susie Quinn and Ree Mayer all here. So I will allow them to take over and start their presentation.
Great. Hi there. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Casey. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Rhiannon Mayer, and I'm the Director of E-Learning Services. My team, I've got Katie Vaughn and Susan Quinn. They're the e-learning consultants with me. We have actually a larger team, but this is who I got with me today. So I do have a quick PowerPoint slides with some links that I wanted to make sure that we were able to go through first. And then Katie's going to start a quick demo, probably about, 20 plus minutes about Blackboard, clicking through, just so you can get an idea of the, how the courses work and how you get in and things like that. So I will share my screen and get the PowerPoints up. And again, it sounds like these will be shared later with CTE website. So you'll have access to all the links too. And I think maybe Susan or Susan should be probably maybe putting the links that I've got into the chat as well whenever we get to those. So excited to have you all here, and we'll get started. Hold on one sec. Hiding my video. All right. All right. So there we go. All right, so we are e-learning services, and we are part of the Division of Information Technology. E-learning services falls under the Teaching and Learning Technologies area within DOIT. And so I just wanted to show a little bit about some of the other areas within our area, Teaching and Learning Technologies. So we've got AV engineering, service delivery and portfolio management, collaborative technologies, digital asset management, distributed learning support, media services, media production services, e-learning services, which is us, classroom technology support, and then some business admin and inventory. So lots of areas go into teaching and learning technology here at USC. There's a lot of folks that are working behind the scenes, to kind of make sure that you all have what you need in any environment, whether it's the virtual environment or in the classroom face-to-face as well.
Excuse me, your slide didn't forward. Yeah.
Oh, it didn't? Okay.
Yeah.
What about?
There you go.
That's it? Okay.
That's
Sorry
what
about
you just
that.
talked about. Yeah,
Looks
sorry.
like it's working on my screen. I'm sorry. So next, oh, I see. Yeah, I see what's happening. It's sharing on my screen too, instead of one. Apologies. New technology. Speaking of, so we most recently actually just switched over to Zoom. So we have been using Microsoft Teams administratively, and within Blackboard had been using Collaborate. And now we are moving forward with Zoom for our virtual web conferencing tool. So I'll get to that a little bit later. But so again, I just wanted to mention support within the classroom itself. So the classroom technology folks, they provide support daily, within the teaching spaces, as well as provide some on-site training for the faculty. So there's a zoned support model in place. So it looks like the Columbia campus is divided into 5 distinct zones based on the concentration of the classrooms. The support technicians in the classroom support area are embedded within the classroom buildings in each zone. And that enables us to increase the response time and resolution time to any issues within the classroom. So getting help within a classroom, I just kind of thought we should also mention this. There are QR codes on the podiums themselves to report an issue. It does bring you to a website in order to fill out some information about where you are and the issue that you're experiencing. They do have very quick response time. Again, with that zone support, it helps them able to accomplish that. But we also, if you're in the middle of the class and something happens, you're able to work around the issue or just move forward with teaching. And you'd like to report the issue later, we do have a IT service portal that you're able to report an issue. Or if something is, basically missing from the classroom or the podium, so you can add some software, get some software added. There's a couple links there that you can use to again report the problem or request something new. So now I will just real quickly go through some of the e-learning services supported services and resources. So first, we've got my team. So the e-learning services team, it's myself. I've got James and James Campbell, Chris Brown, Alex Fiscus,
Hi,
system
Reed.
here. Yep.
Hey, Reed, it's Casey. Before you go to the next one, there was a question from a couple slides ago about the QR codes that you mentioned.
Yes.
Okay. Are those also available for the satellite campuses? Like, I think we have several people from Lancaster here.
I believe it would just be for Columbia campus.
But
Are there any
Shamika, are you at Lancaster? Because we've got contacts on each of the what are called Palmetto College campuses and the other 3 comprehensive campuses. And so we know people. we can find out how you do it on your campus.
Great, thank you. I'm actually at the Greenville site at the University Center.
Okay. I'll have to get back to you on that because I don't know that one off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Tamika. Thanks, Casey.
And then Ree, can we do one more question? Our
Yes, sir.
favorite question, which we always know is going to come. Can you address when adjunct faculty should be able to access their technology?
You mean courses in Blackboard or?
Stephanie just asked about technology. I'm going to assume that it is a like an access, like when am I going to get my email? When am I going to get Blackboard? Stephanie, is that what you're looking for? She has zero access to everything. So I'm going to talk about system access, if you could, please.
Okay, so system access. So yeah, so we do run into this a lot, you know, especially right now, at the beginning of the semester, right before, you know, classes start. It's quite an extensive process as far as, you know, getting new faculty onboarded, right? I did work with the provost office and learned in-depthly and also DOIT to learn more in depth about how that works. Basically, you know, we have to get some information from the colleges. Obviously there's an HR piece. There is a checklist that, you know, as an employee, you will get. One of those steps, which I'm talking, it's a later step, is to get that, there's an email to claim your account. So they will send you an email to the personal email address that you put in, you know, probably when filling out an application for employment. And the email goes there. It's an automated email. I say that because there's several steps ahead of that need to be done by the colleges and HR and things. And so once all those steps are taken, that email is automatically triggered and sent to you. I believe they tell you in that email that you've got about 48 hours to claim your account. There's a link in there that you would click and then set up your password. The username and things is already generated for you. And that it works this way for almost regardless of which campus you're on. I will say everybody has credentials from Columbia. We call them the Columbia credentials because if you are at Upstate or Aiken, there is a separate Active Directory system that changes how your email and you know, your specific Aiken and Upstate emails are displayed. So logging into Blackboard, though, it's definitely impacted, and you know, you'll log in with your Columbia credentials to Blackboard. But as far as that account claiming, again, it's the automated email. And what I would say is, if any of you are having issues, you know, claiming an account, or you don't have an account yet, if you could put your name, you know, in the chat there, I can certainly do some investigation and see what I can see on the account side. Because obviously, until the account is created, now, again, the account is created. If you don't claim it, that means you cannot access, you know, you cannot log into Blackboard. As long as the account is created, your college or the registrar's office has the ability to add you as an instructor to a course. So at that point, you would be listed as the instructor on record and banner. And then that means, you know, even if you can't get into Blackboard, you are still listed as the instructor. So that would come up under your course list. So if you're having issues with that, please just put your first and last name in there. If you know your USCID, you know, you can provide that as well. Or we can give you the links to create tickets and things, and I can certainly do some investigation on that. It's a tricky time right now. I know, you know, there's some last minute changes with changing of instructors and things like that, but obviously setting up that password, making sure you're claiming your account, setting up your security questions, etc., is step one of account claiming. However, it's like step 15 in I'm a new employee here at USC. So hopefully that answered the question. Yeah, hopefully that answered the question. All right, so I will continue. So just as an FYI, you know, Blackboard is owned by a company called Anthology. They were purchased back in 2021. And since then, that is when this large push for Ultra really started to take over, not only here at USC, but at Anthology as well. They have increased their development of the LMS. So it's been moving fast. Again, it's mostly, I think it's been mostly positive. Obviously, you know, everybody is different. Everybody has different styles and preferences and things like that. But the goal is obviously to streamline, you know, the look and feel and navigation for our students, so that they don't have to go from class to class and question where are my assignments? Where am I going to find messages? Where do I see what's due? Where, you know, so everything is more streamlined and more formal and standardized. Which has been the provost goal, which is why we did make this move to Ultra. So real quick, I'll just give you some resources here. Again, you can click on these and look on these at a later time. We'll go over some of that. You know, Katie will reiterate some of that. I've got some resources here for students as well. You know, students, we do not really, we haven't in the past offered trainings specifically to students or anything. You know, we are definitely willing to work with students and have always been supportive of students. You know how students are, a lot of them they just get it, right? So, you know, we did have a couple meetings and focus, I don't want to say a focus group, but a couple meetings with some students, and you know, the overall thought process of, you know, hey, we're switching to Blackboard, you know, Ultra Course View. What do you think? And they're like, hey, it's fine. It's fine as long as I can find my courses and know where my stuff is. I'll get it. It'll be fine. But we do have some generated resources if you'd like to share, you know, with your students if they need assistance with, you know, the Ultra Course View itself and navigating Blackboard. So we do want to provide that for you too. One of the things we're doing, you know, it's funny, I found this picture with the 15th because that was a big day. Yesterday was, you know, official start of the, you know, contract signing day. So, but we've got a lot of Blackboard Ultra trainings and workshops. We coordinate with the CTE, that will be listed on their workshop schedule on their website that Matt demonstrated there. So we will have the fall schedule up fairly directly soon. So, but here's where you go, and there is registration required for those, but lots of topics to discuss there. Take a look at that. And CTE offers a lot of things outside of Blackboard, as Casey mentioned. So lots of things happening there. So then I talked briefly a little bit about Zoom. This is new for us here on the campus or at the university here in the university system. Everyone, all faculty, all students, all campuses have access to Zoom. So if you're not, you are able to access this, I should say, I guess, outside of Blackboard. There is a URL, a direct URL, which is sc-edu.zoom.us. There's the sign-in link, right? I just took a screenshot there of you know, the login page, and you'll get very familiar with our CAS login screen. And when you see that CAS, that's the Central Authentication Service login screen there. When you see that, you're entering your, as I mentioned, I call them the Columbia credentials. So that's your, you know, I can't say it's the university username or password, but it's the Columbia credentials. To log into Zoom, to log into Blackboard, you will use the same credentials. To log into, I can't even say your email, I guess, but at Columbia, all the same. Zoom and Blackboard. Katie will demonstrate this a little bit, you know, a little bit more in detail. So we did load the Zoom LTI, which is that link there. I did zoom it up there. The Zoom link will be in all of the fall courses. So at some point, maybe it's at the top, maybe it's at the bottom, but it should be displayed. If by chance you accidentally, you know, you delete it or something accidentally, there's two ways that you can get it back, which is details and actions menu, which we'll go over. And then in the content area, you hit the plus and it's in the content market. So two ways to get it back. I did want to just briefly again discuss how to get help, you know, from the Division of Information Technology. We have the DOIT support portal, or service portal it's called. And that houses our knowledge base, where you can get the answers, obviously, you know, at any time. To lots of your technology questions and needs. We have a service catalog, which is where you can request assistance from the Division of Information Technology. And you are able to report outages and check system status there and view your submitted tickets. So if you have any outstanding tickets and you're not sure where to locate those, it's that IT service portal. The URL for that is that sc.edu/IT help. And then right there in that small screenshot, I know, that will allow you to type in keywords. You can, and that'll bring you to the knowledge base options or also the service catalog. That is it for me. Oh, I guess I should mention the service desk. I'm sorry, one more thing. At any point if you've got any technology questions, computer questions, please give our service desk a call. The number is there. We do offer we do offer 24/7 technical support as well as Blackboard support through that number. So you call that number and somebody will always answer that phone. So, but, and which is again, super helpful. We do have some folks that do discuss specific to Blackboard. If in the menu, you can choose, you're calling for Blackboard support, and they are available to you at all times. If it is after hours, and that's I believe our hours are 8:30 to 5. If it's after those hours, a ticket will be escalated to our main service desk here in Columbia, and it will be addressed as soon as we get into that office. So just wanted to let you know that. And at this point, I will stop sharing my screen and I will let Katie take over and start the demonstration of Blackboard. Before I do that, let me catch up and see if there's any new questions or anything in the chat, or if hopefully folks have been keeping up for me, so I appreciate that. And yes, we will.
It is my understanding that there's nothing else for you to do in the chat.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then Katie, I'll hand it off to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ree. My name is Katie Vaughn. I'm one of the consultants with e-learning services. So as Ree mentioned, we work very closely with CTE. We're kind of cousin departments with them. So we don't do all the same things, but we overlap in a lot of ways. So my team is the Blackboard admins. So if you ever need help with something technical in Blackboard, we're usually the ones you'll end up coming to. I know you can't all get in yet, but hopefully very soon everyone will have the access they need. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a live demo of Blackboard so you can see a little bit of the layout and the look and feel and be a little more comfortable with it when it's time to start putting your course content in there. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So when you first log into Blackboard, you should see something like this. The landing page is what we call the institution page. And this is a great place to just kind of scroll down a little bit and see what's going on. If there are ever any outages or tips and tricks, we try to keep these pretty frequently updated. So take a look here for all the information you'll need to know. We're also limited in the amount of emails we can send you. So this is one of the places that we put important things. And we do have some ultra training resources and things linked here right now as well, because everyone's going to need that right now. If you click on your name on the left side, this is your profile. Only you will see all the stuff on here. So the main thing is that each Blackboard user has a photo that should be coming in from the Carolina card system. Mine is obviously not because I'm an admin and I uploaded that myself. But you should be able to see your students' images as well, which is nice, so that when they're interacting with your course, you'll see a little bubble with their picture in it to kind of help you keep everybody straight. You can add your name pronunciation. That's one of the editable fields. But if you want to add a preferred name, nickname, pronouns, those types of things, that can all be done over on the Self-Service Carolina website, which is my.sc.edu. So just make a note of that if you want to make any changes to those items, because they pull into Blackboard from Banner. I'm going to skip on down into courses. And I just want to point out a couple things here. So Ree kind of touched on this, but if you come in here to courses, and if you don't see your courses, definitely check with your college or department to make sure that you are listed as the instructor of record for the course. Blackboard kind of, again, pulls in from the various systems. This is kind of the last stop for most of the data. So definitely make sure of that. If you get to that step in the process, we can go ahead and help add you into a course if it comes down to it, but you still need to make sure that all the back end stuff is taken care of as well, to make sure that, like Casey mentioned, when it's final grades time, you have the right access to see the site that you need to enter the final grades. So that will become important later. You will see things based on terms in Blackboard. All of our courses are assigned to a term. So if you need to filter by a specific term, it should show the current ones at the top. But if you ever need to go find a different one, different term, you can find that in the filter there. And you can also search for a course by name in this field at the top. So feel free, once you get into kind of play around with those settings, You can even toggle between a list view and the grid view. So there's different ways even to see your courses depending on the way you prefer. So I'm going to go into a demo course here. All right, and this one I have spruced up a little bit. You can customize things more than you could when we first started playing around with the Ultra course view. They've done a few updates recently that have added a little more personalization and pizzazz. So when you first see your course, it's going to look pretty blank, kind of just a blank slate. So I'll show you a couple things that you can do in here once you're trying to get started. We are going to stick kind of to the basics for now because I don't want to overwhelm you, but we do offer tons of workshops where we get a little more detailed and give you more information about the ins and outs of gradebook and course building and best practices and things. So an announcement is probably one of the first things you'll need. Definitely want to communicate with your students. So if you click announcements, you can, I need to minimize a window so I can see. You can click the plus sign over here to create a new announcement. Just about anywhere you go in an Ultra course, that plus sign is going to be wherever you can add something new. So I'll click on the plus sign. I can give my announcement a title. Say what you want to say. You can add images, you can attach things or add links. This is all customizable, and anywhere you can add text in Blackboard, you're going to see this same menu where you can customize what you're typing. There's even an audio video recording option. So if you want to add a welcome video of yourself, you could click on that and it will embed a little video that you'll record right in the window here. So that's kind of fun. And if you want to make sure your students get an email along with the pop-up announcement, you can click send an email copy to recipients. You can also schedule the announcement ahead of time if you want to preset the date and time that it'll go out. So once you have all this ready, just hit post and it will go out to your students. And then the next time they log into Blackboard, it will be a big pop-up window. You can't miss it. And if you checked that box, it will also go to their email. If you want to send an email without the announcement piece, so maybe this is just a smaller group of students, or there's just something you want to communicate to one student, you can go into messages and send a new message. You can select who you're going to send it to. Same thing, customize this message. And then when you hit send at the bottom, that will go out. And what this does is it will send to your students' USC email, and it'll be captured here in kind of an inbox outbox so that you have a receipt, a copy of everything you've sent to your students through Blackboard. So it's just an added layer of a paper trail, I guess. Now, by default, your course will be available to your students. It will be open. If you ever need to make the course private, so sometimes while instructors are building, adding content, they might want to close the course to students temporarily. You can do that over here on the left where it says course is open, students can access this course. If I click on that, I can make the course private. And if I click on it, this is what your students will see. So when they come into Blackboard, they will see that they're in the class, they're enrolled, they just won't be able to get to the content. And then when you're ready for them to see it again, go to that same place and open to students. So relatively simple there. I did want to mention a couple things about adding content and about the content that's already in your course when you go in there for the first time. So for all of our fall courses, we have a template that has already populated this attendance tracking quiz and a link to Zoom. So there is verbiage in your course about what the attendance tracking mandate is. And if there are questions, we should be able to answer them today, hopefully. But it is part of a federal financial aid mandate. So the short version is if your students are receiving federal financial aid, they'll need to take this little 1-question quiz to verify their enrollment in the course, whether it's face-to-face or online or hybrid, it doesn't matter. It's in all courses. And so taking that quiz essentially tells the powers that be that they are enrolled and active in the course, and it eliminates a barrier to getting their aid. So this is what the quiz looks like. It's literally just, I am attending this class, or I'm currently attending but plan to drop it. So that's all they have to do. Pretty simple. Just ask them to do that within the first 2 weeks, I think, of class it's due. So ideally day 1, or as soon as you can get it over with. That's what that is. And then Zoom, obviously Ree mentioned that Zoom is the platform we're using now for having you meet with your students. So I can click on it and show you what that interface looks like. It's very, very simple. If you've used Zoom before, it's the same Zoom you've always known. It's just the EDU version that has, a couple features that are ideal for instructor use. But essentially, if you want to schedule a meeting, you click schedule a new meeting. So if I click on that, you can enter your topic, description, time. Pretty standard meeting setup. You can use a passcode or not. You have all these options, use a waiting room or not. So I have a co-host listed here. If you have a co-teacher or somebody that you're working with, a TA, you could put them as an alternative host so they have a little more power as far as what they can do in the session. But that's about it. I mean, it's relatively straightforward. And once you create the meeting, you get a meeting link. And you can, I don't have one in here. You can copy and share that link with whoever you need to. If you have a guest speaker or something, they can enter with that link as well. And your students have access to the Zoom link if you make it available. It is likely hidden right now. I think it was brought over in the template hidden. But if you want them to see it and get into a meeting through the tool, you can just make it visible to them, and they can do it the same way. Any questions so far? I can show how to add a syllabus and any other things you want to see in here. Is there something in the chat? Okay.
Tamika has a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, so 2 questions. Do students have access to Zoom? Like if they needed to work on a project, could they create their own Zoom session through Blackboard, or would the instructor need to create that for them?
Ree, do you know the answer to that one? Because I don't know that I've heard what all the students have
I
access to.
do.
Oh, Casey knows.
I think Ree does too. Yeah, students have access.
Okay,
So
great.
the longer answer is, so I'm going to put this into the chat. Katie, can you go back to the primary Zoom landing page, outside of a class?
Oh, the primary one.
Yeah.
What is, I am blanking right now on the USC. Oh, you got it.
I just stuck it in the chat. You can get to Zoom through your courses, but you can also go to this kind of primary USC portal. And so you can share this with students. So once you get your USC credentials, you'll probably need to come here and click that sign in button, and it will kind of enable your account. And then you can sign in to kind of your Zoom, anybody with the USC credentials, so including your students. Because I tested this with a graduate student earlier this summer, can log in here and they'll see the whole Zoom landing page, and they can make meetings, they can share them with other students, so they can do all of that here.
Awesome.
Thank you. And my second question is, just only because you were talking about attendance, is attendance taken in Blackboard?
Like, yeah, related to Zoom or just in Blackboard in general?
Blackboard in general.
Yes, let me show you that. So you can use the built-in attendance tool that they've got here in Blackboard. So if you click on Mark Attendance, this is what it looks like. So it's set up for you to take attendance that day. And you can either click the box for each student, or if the majority are present, you can just mark them all present and then only go in and mark the ones absent that weren't there. You can also go to the overall dates for attendance and it will list out the dates. And then if you need to add a specific date, you can hover your mouse anywhere in here and click the plus sign. And then you can modify, you can edit meeting and put in the correct date. And then you can mark that day. So this will feed into your grade book automatically, and you can choose whether or not you want to include it as a part of your overall grade. Some people just want to use it as the attendance tool, and some want it to be a percentage of the final grade. And so depending on the use case, you can do it either way. All right.
And
Any other-
just to
Oh,
be
yeah.
and just to be clear as well, you don't have to take attendance in Blackboard like this. It is an available tool for you, just because in case you're new to USC.
Yeah.
Katie, can you, Matt, were you going to say something? Because I was going to cover a couple things from the chat.
Right. Well, I just noticed that someone wants to show them how to load a syllabus.
Yeah, I can do that. All right. So, I mentioned how kind of blank your course will look when you first see it. CTE does have a template that they've created. So if you need just a starting point with some basic modules to kind of start putting things into, we can get that copied into your course. Just send us a ticket at the URL that I stuck in the chat a little while back, or let one of us know and we can make sure that there's a ticket out there for you. But we do recommend using modules or folders to organize things in here, because the way that this is set up, if you don't have things in buckets of information, then it's going to be an endless scroll for your students, and it's going to be really miserable to trudge through the content. So you can, let me start with how I created the modules. You can hover in here, look for our handy dandy plus sign and create. And then create a learning module. And so that's the first step. That's the first thing that I did. You can add the name of a module. It could be a weekly module. It could be a unit-based one. It could just say module 1. There's no way that you have to set this up. It's kind of just what works best for you and your class. And if you scroll down, you can add images. That's how I've added my little thumbnails over here. And we even have some copyright-free stock images in there that you can play around with. So once you have your modules, you can open one up and add in your syllabus. So let's say you have your syllabus created already, it's on your computer. You can click that plus sign and then just upload. And then you'll just search for it on your computer and upload it there. If you haven't created it yet and you want to start putting stuff in here, again, CTE's template does have some resources that'll help you get started with all that. But you can also create what's called a document. And this will let you add text and files and kind of multiple tidbits of information. So you can just click content and type a paragraph. Like maybe you have a section that's about your instructor, and then you want to add another section that is an upload of the syllabus and then the schedule or whatever. So that's kind of a neat tool if you want to consolidate multiple bits of information in one place. But I think for most users, it's going to be easiest just to do the upload. See, there's some activity in the chat. Let me see what's going on over here. Casey is answering just about everything. So I will just mention, since he's kind of answering those questions, you can, if you're starting everything from scratch, you can go ahead and build assignments, tests, whatever you might need right here in Blackboard. You can, as with everything else, just click create, and then you can scroll down and find where you can build a test or an assignment. You can add a discussion. What's nice about Ultra, as opposed to if you've ever used another learning management system or the original Blackboard View or whatever, is that a lot of these items are just one click. They're very simple and straightforward for students to interact with. So unlike the discussion board that I've seen previously, that was kind of forums and threads and multiple clicks to get into where you need to go, these are just click it and you're in, and then you can interact with it. So like for a discussion, you would have your students come in here, you would have the prompt, and then you just click to type the response, and they just type in what they want to say, almost like a comment thread on Facebook or something. It just is very simple. And then they can respond to each other as well. So depending on what you're wanting to do, there's a use case for just about everything in here. So feel free to ask if you have any specific questions or if you wanted to see anything else. Any other questions, or is there anything I missed that you all wanted to see?
Katie, it's Ree.
Hey.
I did just want to mention there was a question. What's a way to get a quick help with a Blackboard question? Honestly, the ticket is the quickest way. I've got 6 pair of eyes looking at that queue. Otherwise, I mean, there is obviously you can Google those things and you can search the Blackboard help pages. But that would be the quickest way to get help. And also Casey mentioned the CTE. So one of those two methods, ticket for ELS or emailing CTE.
Yes. I think I saw a question about like publisher content, third-party stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So
specifically Mind Tap, but any of them would be great.
Sure. Okay. So we have a very large amount of publisher content integrations and things in our Blackboard environment. We have a lot of campuses, a lot of users, so we have a lot of stuff. But depending on the publisher, so if we're talking like Cengage, we can click on Books and Tools over here on the left. And I am going to actually just scroll all the way down. I'm seeing a couple of them here, but they're not all listed until you say Browse All Course Tools. I would avoid the little icons at the top because we didn't actually configure those ourselves, and I don't know that they necessarily work. We're still working with Anthology to figure that one out. But all of these below the pictures are the ones that we have added. So we have a Cengage tool that most of these, maybe it's the other one. We're doing some LTI work on Monday to try to sort some of this out, make sure everything is there that should be. There it is. Okay, so that first Cengage link is going to ask you to log in. So most of these third-party sites, Cengage, McGraw-Hill, VitalSource, a lot of them will essentially just have you log into that third-party site, and you do most of the work on the publisher's site. And so what you've done by clicking it in Blackboard is you've just initiated that connection between the two. And then as you do all your work in the third-party site, in most cases, you'll set up assignments or things that your students have to interact with, and then that is going to feed back into your Blackboard gradebook. So this should get you started where you can log in with your Cengage stuff and then do whatever you need to do over there to sync it up. The publishers themselves do support these sites. So if you run into an issue beyond this point, then you'll want to talk to their support team to figure out anything weird that's going on. If Blackboard has a broken link or something, definitely let us know. But there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes with these things. So hopefully that answered the question.
Hi, I have a quick question about the Zoom class links. So I will be teaching a class that has students both at Columbia in person and then attending, I guess, live via the satellite Greenville campus. So I was asked by the program director to send class meeting links to the student that will be attending satellite. So would that be, does each class session need to have an individual meeting set up? Will those, if he has access to the Zoom link, will that be sufficient enough for him to be able to access those class meetings?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it kind of depends on a couple things. If I click on the Zoom link here to access it, you could create a different meeting for each one. I think I would do that if I plan to record something, and that way I can title each meeting what the recording should look like. But if you're not really recording and it's kind of just for the purpose of getting them into the class that day, there is a personal meeting room, and you can just invite people to this URL whenever, just copy it and send it, and it's kind of just open. So if you wanted to use this as your recurring link, you could, or you can even, when you schedule, set up a recurring meeting. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. I don't know if that helps or if you want to share any more specifics.
That seems perfect for now, but I'll reach out if I have more questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is there any way that we are able to, like, I'm teaching a class in Lancaster that is an online class, but it is also Palmetto College that
Mhm.
is taught in person in Columbia. Is there any way that I can access other professors' content? Not necessarily all their content, but like, any of their resources or anything like that for that are teaching the same course or teaching something similar? Can you see
Yeah.
other courses?
So you can't see other courses unless you have the permission of that instructor. If you know somebody that's taught the same thing previously, and if they're willing to share some of that with you, some of their resources, they can let us know that they've granted that permission, and then we can copy content over or add you as an additional instructor to a previous course. But we do have to have their consent for that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
You can also check with the department, right? So like you want to contact whoever your contact is at Palmetto College, Jean or Ron or somebody, they should be able to connect you with those faculty if those resources are available as well, and then let us know.
Okay, thank you so much.
And that's what I was going to say. Just, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. And I would go through the Palmetto College office, like Casey suggested, because when I used to teach at the College of Education, we often worked with people on the Palmetto College campuses, even though it wasn't built in, to the system. But we loved getting feedback and working with people on the other college campuses.
Anything else for me? If not, I will stop sharing.
All right, excellent. We can return to other questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much, Ree, Susan, Katie. Excellent job. Really appreciate you sharing all the information about Blackboard and your services. Again, if you have questions about Blackboard, e-learning services, Zoom, other technologies, they're your go-to place. But of course, CTE, we're here to help on those issues as well, and help you integrate those technologies into your course. Before we kind of end the orientation, I want to show you one more resource. Let me make sure. Go. Let me get this up here, sorry. There we go. So I do want to show you a little bit about our website, CTE and syllabus templates, because it's really important you develop a course syllabus and schedule that is consistent with USC policy and in pedagogical best practices. So if you go to our site, at CTE, you go to the teaching resources. One thing I'll point out too here, some people ask like, well, can I get a quicker answer to a Blackboard question? Well, if you go to teaching resources in Blackboard Learn, you notice here that there's a set of resources. There's a UCV template we've been talking about, and some quick questions that might be answered right here, where you can get answers to some of your pressing questions. Of course, you can go to a consultations request and also contact us about whatever your issue may be. And also under workshops, there we do have a Blackboard Learn Ultra Course View link, and also some video archives where there are some webinars that have been recorded on Blackboard. Someone else had asked a question about that earlier. So anyway, I just want to show really quickly, if you go under teaching resources and syllabus templates, Casey showed this a little bit, but I did want to highlight that further down here, like if you want to download a template in Word format, we have one for face-to-face syllabi, online courses, and blended courses. We also have a set of templates for your schedule, so you don't have to create it on your own. You can just, whatever course you have, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, half term, full term, we have templates here that you can use that have the holidays and drop add dates and all that incorporated. As you go further down here, this shows the required elements of a course syllabus with a little asterisk, some recommended sections as well by CTE. But if you just click on one of these, like course learning outcomes, it just tells you what you're expected to put in your syllabus, provides you some resources for doing it best, gives you some sample language that you might, what it would look like in your syllabus. And if it's a distributed course or something unique for distributed learning, we have a little icon and a little extra verbiage for that as well. So not only can you download the templates, but you can look through a lot of what we, and down here, a lot of these support services you can put into your syllabus, like the information about Student Success Center, the Writing Center. Here's where you're required to put something about disability services, and we have some sample language for that as well. So I just really think this is a great resource that you can use to help develop a really effective syllabus that meets all the requirements. So with that, we're kind of coming to the end. We were kind of summarized some just-in-time university resources, heard something from CTE about what we provide. E-learning services provide a great summary of their resources as well. Are there any other questions, comments? I know you guys have shared your Friday evening with us. Unfortunately, classes were pushed up to Tuesday. Instead of doing this the night before you teach classes, we want to make sure to get it as soon as possible when people have to come on the campus. So any other questions or comments, concerns? All right, well, basically, we'd like to really thank you for your time. We hope that this orientation has been helpful to you and made you aware of some resources around campus. If you do have any questions, you can certainly contact us at cte@sc.edu. And we will make this recording and the slides of this presentation available to you. I'll promise it to you by Tuesday, August 20th. We'll obviously try to get it up there faster, but we'll try to get that to you as soon as possible. Any other final questions or concerns?
Matt, this is Susan Quinn. I
Yes.
just wanted to see if there was someone else who mentioned teaching on one of the not Palmetto College campuses. But if there's anybody else who is teaching at the University Center Greenville, if they could put their name in the chat. I've already sent a note asking about where the technology resources are for there, because we work primarily with the comprehensive campuses and the Palmetto College campuses, and even a little bit with the med school Greenville. But we haven't done a lot with the University Center Greenville, even though obviously South Carolina is one of the 9 schools.
I just want to say thank you, because I was one of those, whoever was asking about when they get get access to their credentials. I actually taught this course spring of 24, And that was my first time teaching, and I didn't get my access until 2 weeks into the course. And when I got it, I had nobody ever sent me this CTE site. I was on my own for everything. Katie helped me so much with trying to work through Blackboard, but I had no idea that any of this existed. So thank you all for doing this.
It's our pleasure. So if you ever need help, please contact us. Great. Well, if there are no other comments or anything anyone wants to raise, then I think we are free to go and you guys can enjoy the rest of your evening.